Welcome back. The details. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi inspected on Sunday several development projects as Izbit al-Haggana district, accompanied by Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouli and a number of ministers. During the visit, the head of state instructed to continue upgrading slums within the state's policy to develop unsafe and unplanned areas across the nation. We have more details. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi inspected on Sunday several development projects at Izbit al-Haggana district. Presidential spokesperson Ambassador Bassam Radi said President el-Sisi listened to a detailed progress report on the latest developments of the ongoing projects in the Eastern Cairo district and areas adjacent to it of high intensity. The head of state instructed to continue upgrading slums within the state's policy to develop unsafe and unplanned areas across the country. Meanwhile, President el-Sisi directed to finalize the new projects within scheduled according to high standards in a way that help in raising living conditions and providing decent life for its residents. He also instructed to connect the developed areas with new road networks and to provide several basic services for families living there. He also instructed to connect the developed areas with new road networks and to provide several basic services for families living there too. The head of state was accompanied in his tour by Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouli, Minister of Electricity and Renewable Energy Dr. Mohammed Shakir al-Marqabi, Minister of Petroleum Engineer Tariq al-Mulla, Minister of Irrigation and Water Resources Dr. Mohammed Abdel Ati, Minister of Education Tariq Shawqi, Minister of Planning and Economic Development Dr. Hala Saeed, and Minister of Social Solidarity Niveen al-Qabbaj, as well as Advisor for Financial Affairs General Mohammed Amin and the head of the Armed Forces Engineering Authority General Ihab al-Far. Also on Sunday, President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi held a meeting with Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouli, a number of ministers, the President's advisors for urban planning and financial affairs, and the head of the Armed Forces Engineering Authority to review the project of developing the Egyptian countryside. During the meeting, the head of state gave his directives to begin immediately to develop government service buildings in villages to facilitate the government procedures for the citizens. President el-Sisi also gave his directives to expand the participation of society in the project of developing the Egyptian rural areas. The meeting also tackled the executive details of the project and the plan to promote the villages of the countryside. Upon directives of President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi and within the framework of Egypt's solidarity with Sudan, 3 military transport aid planes headed to Khartoum Airport. The shipments are carrying foodstuff and medical aid from the Ministry of Health and the Arab League to contribute in alleviating the burdens on the Sudanese people. For his part, Sudan expressed its deep appreciation and gratitude to Egypt's efforts and its support in times of crises, stressing the strength of the historical ties between the two brotherly nations. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi emphasized Gulf-Egypt distinguished relations and asserted that the security of the Gulf countries is firmly linked to Egyptian national security. The head of state's statements came during his meeting with visiting Secretary General of the Gulf Cooperation Council, the GCC, Naif Al-Hajraf, with the attendance of Foreign Minister Sameh Shukri. Presidential spokesperson Ambassador Bassam Radi said President el-Sisi expressed keenness on fostering Egypt's ties with the GCC in various domains during the coming period. Radi added that the president stressed the importance of Egypt's political principles that aim at boosting construction, cooperation, and supporting joint Arab action to achieve common interests and face current challenges facing the Arab region. For his part, Al-Hajraf praised the brotherly relations between the Council and Egypt and the strategic role of Egypt in preserving security, stability, and development in the Arab countries. Earlier, Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry held a meeting on Sunday with the Secretary General of the Gulf Cooperation Council, Naif Al-Hajraf, and during the meeting, Al-Hajraf reiterated that Egypt is a main pillar in achieving the national Arab security, particularly to the Council member states. The talks tackle various regional and international issues of mutual concern. The Secretary General of the GCC also asserted the Council's support to Egypt in combating terrorism and in boosting efforts in the negotiations over the so-called Ethiopian dam. Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry also held talks with his Lebanese counterpart Sherb al-Wahba. The meeting reviewed means of exiting the current political stalemate in Lebanon to achieve the Lebanese people's aspirations. The meeting also touched on the various issues and files of mutual concern. During the meeting, Shoukry asserted Cairo's support for Lebanon. Egypt reported 509 new coronavirus infections, bringing the total number of cases to 169,106 people since the outbreak hit the country in mid-February. The Health Ministry also reported 44 new deaths, bringing the total number of fatalities to 9,604. The ministry added that 422 patients were discharged from quarantine hospitals, raising the number of those who have recovered to 132,054 people. Britain's vaccine deployment minister said on Sunday that COVID-19 booster in the autumn and then annual